Is there any specific text that talks about what jewelry meant to the communities, anything like that?
Well, Kautilya in the Arthashastra actually devoted an entire chapter.
Why is there so much importance to jewels in a temple?
So, as you yourself said in the beginning,
is there a reason behind why brides are decked up so well?
So it's the same thing, when we spoke about the temple.
So you touched base upon this at the beginning in terms of what's mentioned in Vedas and Shastras about jewelry. And can you tell a little more about because we hear that Vedas and Shastras talk about everything under the sun, including how to rule and all that. Now, was there any specific text, or is there any specific text that talks about what jewelry meant to the communities? Does it talk about how much how much should be there in a kingdom or anything like that?
Well, Kautilya in the Arthashastra actually has actually devoted an entire section in his book where he speaks about the treasury, how important the treasury is to the state and what should be there in the treasury, because he says the strength of a kingdom, the power of a kingdom comes from the volume of riches that are held in the treasury. And the reason is, when you have gemstones and you have gold and you have silver in your treasury, you can pay for an army, you can bribe the enemy, you can pay for your troops. It's also easily portable, because if your kingdom falls, all that you need to do is, a little cloth bundle, and you have all your precious gemstones, and you have fled to another kingdom where you can actually seek refuge. Like, when Shah Shuja ran from Afghanistan and came to Ranjit Singh's court, he came with the Kohinoor diamond and he gave the Kohinoor to Ranjit Singh in return for safe refuge. That's how the Kohinoor came back to India. So the importance of the treasury is mentioned. And then there are other books in, like there is this book called the Marma Chikitsa, which talks about the importance of jewelry for health. How it is important to wear jewelry in certain energy pathways and pressure points in the body. Why is it important to pierce your ears? Why is it important to pierce the nose? What is the importance of wearing a necklace which rests on the neck, which kind of stimulates the thyroid gland? So jewelry in India was actually worn all along these energy pathways that regulated the flow of energy in the body. And then, there are texts, astrological texts about the whole Navaratna. Every gemstone represents a planet. And when the 9 gemstones come together, what a powerful, cogent entity it becomes. Why is it good to wear Shani? Why is it good to wear a sapphire? Why is it bad to wear a sapphire? If you have Buddha in your astrological chart, why is it that you must wear a coral or a Gometakam ring? So all these things are given in our Shastras.
Oh, wow. That's very interesting. So it's all about balancing your, if I may say, energy.
Yes, energy.
Wow, this is so...
that is going in your body.
Most of us, especially, my generation, we are very quick to kind of throw away things in the name of superstition, even without understanding what it is. So it's nothing wrong to say no to a certain practice, but as long as we understand it and then say no, because it's your choice. But unfortunately today a lot of us just we just say no because we hear someone say it's a superstition and we want to believe it. So right. Thank you so much for sharing that and educating us on that. A slightly different question on the temple jewelry. The Hindu philosophy says that the true Brahman is actually formless and omnipresent. However, the temple agamas, we even recently did a quick series on temple agamas. It says alankaram, or the adorning of the god, the idol, is actually a very very important ritual in a temple even today. So it kind of seems very contradictory when we think about it. Why is there so much importance to jewels in a temple?
So, as you yourself said in the beginning, Brahman is actually invisible, it's omnipresent, it's everywhere, it's an energy. So, in the temple, that energy resides in a very, very powerful form. But while that energy can be felt and seen by some people, the laity, that is the common people, need to see it in physical form. So when you adorn a deity with not only jewelry, with clothes, with flowers, with when you do the alankaram for the deity, that spirit assumes a human form. It assumes a bodily form that immediately the common people can see and identify and relate to. So what is invisible becomes visible. What is nirguna becomes saguna when you do alankaram to the deity.
Okay, this is so nice. It's almost like saying that the God is for everyone. So it doesn't have to be that you're a saint or a sage who's able to feel the energy, but you just have to be human to see and appreciate.
God takes the human form so that that energy is visible to anybody and everybody. And that human form can only come when it is clothed, it's dressed, and the focus of attention is on that image. And the focus of attention can only come on that image when it is so beautifully adorned.
That's true. How nice. Can you tell us, a piece of jewelry from any temple, in India, that is so unique or that is very special to that temple? Maybe I don't know how to phrase this question. If I go into a temple and I see this particular deity adorned with this, should I be understanding something from it?
Look, these jewels are not documented. So it's very, very difficult to direct one's attention. But during the utsavams, and this is particularly so of South India, you don't see it so much in North India other than in temples like Srinathji in Udaipur. But in South India, whether it is, the Melkote temple near Bangalore, Madurai Meenakshi temple, Chidambaram Nataraja temple, the Sri Rangam temple, the Sri Padmanabha Swami temple in Thiruvananthapuram. I can just give Manarbudi, Rajagopala Swami temple. These are, or even right in Chennai, the Kapali temple during the annual Kapali the Utsavam, the Pangani Utsavam time. When you see the image that comes out so beautifully adorned, you will see, when the god assumes different attributes, it's carrying different weapons, different instruments, which immediately identify it's like, drama. There is a drama being enacted. So when he's carrying a veil, he's in this Murugan avatar. When he's carrying a sword, he's another avatar. When he's sitting on the cow, on the bull, he's in the Rishabha Vahanam avatar. So, every avatar is kind of depicted with different attire, with different jewelry. So one should really go and see, every one of those is like a sight for sore eyes.
You bet. I've definitely been there to Kapali temple's Utsavam, and it's just beautiful. Even when he adorns in the Mohini avatar, if I believe that's one of the avatar.
So the jewelry immediately becomes, a very feminine kind of jewelry.
Correct. It's just, as you said, it's I think we are blessed to watch.
Yes.
That's amazing. So, in today's times, immaterial of the economic status of a family, when it comes to wedding, the brides are always decked up in jewelry, top to head to toe. And we can never see a bride in India with minimalistic jewelry. Is there a reason why these brides, is there like, a symbolism for this, if I may call it, behind why brides are decked up so well?
So it's the same thing, when we spoke about the temple, where the invisible becomes visible. The bride on that day, on her wedding day, where, it's a step into a totally different phase of her life. She becomes a goddess on that day. She becomes a deity on that day. And therefore, she has to be adorned as a goddess, as a deity on that day. And what is it that makes that goddess and that deity visible is her alamkaram. So the bride for that particular day or those few days of the wedding ceremonies is treated as a goddess. She's very special. So that's why she's adorned.
Beautiful. So that also means how important those rituals are.
Yes.
It's more about, it's almost like a goddess coming together to create something.
Yes.
This is so beautiful. I never knew it. We all go to the weddings to see what the bride is wearing, but I didn't know the symbolism behind it. Wonderful. The same thing with Mangal Sutras also. Different communities have different looking Mangal Sutras. Is there a significance or a symbolism behind that as well? Why different people wear different types of Mangal Sutra?
Absolutely. Every community has its own design of the Mangal Sutra. Again, it depends whether you are a Vaishnava or a Shaivite, which part of the state you come from which community you come from. Often, what happens is it's very difficult to trace back the meaning of the design or the origin of that design. Today, jewelers will spin all kinds of stories about it. But, again, one really has to go back and see in nature, because what started in nature. So it's kind of a very stylized form of something that originally came in nature. So how did they differentiate between a married woman and an unmarried woman in the days when society was not as structured as it is today? So they might have taken a leaf from a particular herbal tree, some purificatory tree, and tied it around the neck of the bride. So that leaf then became stylized in gold or silver, and that became the Mangal Sutra. It became an identificatory mark of a woman who was married. So it's sometimes very difficult. In Tamil Nadu, for example, we have Mangal Sutras, with the Tulasi Madam on it, or with the Chandran and the Suryan, the Vaishnava, or the Vaishnava Namam that we have. These are all emblems. These are all caste symbols, caste emblems that gets transposed onto the Mangal Sutra. And black beads. In the north, they wear Mangal Sutras that are always black beads. Black beads, again, is it's symbolic of the pupil of the eye. So it has the power to deflect the bad eye. Nazar, what we call drishti.
Correct.
The eye is drishti. So to deflect that drishti, they wear the black beads.
Oh, wow. So going back to history, from the present day to the history, when was the diamond discovered? When was the first time do we have text telling us when it was discovered? And were Indians really the first people to use diamonds in jewelry?
Okay, the diamond, India was the first repository of diamonds in the world. First repository that was discovered, the diamond mines of India. This goes back to more than 2,000 years ago. We have the earliest mentions of diamonds, during the Roman trade with India. And there are mentions of diamonds by Kautilya in the Arthashastra. He speaks about the different diamond mines in India, which parts of the country diamonds were found. So one presumes, therefore, that India was the first country in the world to use diamonds in jewelry. But we have very little of that left. There's no evidence. However, because of the trade with Rome, diamonds were one of the important items of that trade. It was considered a luxury commodity. And there are rings, for example, in the British Museum, set which goes back to 2,000 years, Roman rings that are set with diamonds that definitely must have come from India. And for nearly right up till the 18th century, India was the sole supplier of diamonds to the world. unrefined diamonds were discovered in Brazil.
Hmm.
And then South Africa and all that. And then the diamond mines in India died out. They became extinct and there were no more diamonds to be found. So other countries took over in terms of quantity of diamonds that were being produced.
Oh. So again, you touched base upon this briefly. What did jewelry mean to the different communities in the ancient India in the past, and what does it mean to people today? Because we have such great marketing that the jewelers all do for us. When it is Akshaya Tritiya, the shops are filled with people. Same thing for Lakshmi Puja, but what is it? What do you think people look at it as today versus yesterday?
I think in one respect, little has changed because as an example, you brought up Akshaya Tritiya. It's still very powerful. Yes, today there is a lot of marketing and hype that surrounds it, but 100 years ago, people were still looking at Akshaya Tritiya as a very auspicious day. It's a time to buy a piece of gold or a piece of silver. It's something to do with prosperity. You want to bring prosperity into the house. So that raison d'etre has not changed. I think really what has changed because of social media and all the marketing tools at our disposal and advertising and the need to drum up sales, it's become an event, so to speak. What was just natural and part of living has now been institutionalized into an event. The same thing with weddings. I mean, it was customary. I think nothing has changed. Today, people are still buying jewelry as investment. If they have surplus money, they want to put it in a piece of jewelry as a form of savings. They are still buying an amulet, or if the astrologer tells them to wear a red stone or a blue stone or a yellow stone, they will go and buy it. They still wear it as pure adornment to look beautiful. They wear it because it's all part of the alamkara. I think what has happened today is these things have kind of submerged into the consciousness. So we don't do it consciously, but I think at the subconscious level, nothing has changed. It's all still there, and I think it's kind of proven by the fact that India still is the largest consumer of jewelry in the world, largest importer of gold in the world, the largest consumer of diamonds and precious stones in the world. So purely based on economic numbers, we have to presume that little has changed. In fact, if at all, only probably it's increased with all the marketing.
You bet. That's nice. So, can you tell us 3 exhibits or jewelry exhibits in India that you think every Indian should see and learn about?
So, there used to be a jewelry gallery in the National Museum in Delhi, but at the moment it's closed for repairs. So when the jewelry gallery opens, that's a must-see because of the Indus Valley gold and the Takshila gold and the Nizam's jewels, one of the greatest royal collections in the world that I worked very closely with. They are in the National Museum. Last year, I've curated the jewelry gallery here in Mumbai in the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Vastu Sangralaya, which is the Prince of Wales Museum. Which once COVID settles down, it will open up, and people should definitely come to Mumbai and see that gallery. And Jaipur, there are some nice jewelry museums in Jaipur. Jaipur is a very, very big manufacturing center. And there is the Amrapali Museum, there is the Gyan Museum, there's an enamel museum that is currently, I'm working on currently. And I hope, since India is the jewelry and the gem capital of the world, we deserve to have a national gem and jewelry museum. So it's my fervent wish and hope that if not in Delhi, at least one of our southern states will take up to open up a gem and jewelry museum to showcase India's rich jewelry heritage.
Yeah, I wish we could also see what treasury these big temples hold. I don't know if it is if it's allowed in the temple agamas to display it for the public viewing, but it would definitely.
Can I just stop you there?
Yes.
The moment you say displayed for public viewing, we are seeing it. The gods are coming out on the streets for all the utsavams and all the
Right.
festivals, and every single person is seeing what is held in the temple treasury. So why not document it and publish it so that people can see it even better?
Absolutely, it would really be thrilling to watch, to know and watch what the gods are wearing. Um, Two questions. We have been talking so much about gold and silver, but in India we have also had other materials. Let's say beads, or I don't know, brass, bronze. I don't know if we make jewelry out of it, or enamel, as you said, enamel, and more in the recent times. Can you talk about those materials and how they came into being? Are they ancient or are they newer additions that we've had?
So beads, actually, India was the bead capital of the ancient world. The largest number of beads were made in India. Thousands, I mean, millions and millions of beads were discovered in excavations in the Indus Valley civilization. They were, jasper, carnelian, other semi-precious stones. They were made and they were exported. And Indian beads were in great demand in Africa. It was a very important part of trade. They were actually bartering for the beads, and beads went, to Malaysia, to Indonesia, to Philippines. So beads is one of the most ancient jewelry commodities in India. Not so much now, but I think it is there. I mean, everything. I mean, you are wearing things that look like beads. So if you go to the Koratti down the road in Chennai, they're sitting everywhere nowadays. They're all making glass beads and selling, which is I always see crowds at that Koratti, people buying. So beads are a very important and important component of jewelry manufacture. Now, amongst the communities who are not as privileged, who cannot afford the other more precious metals, jewelry was made with brass, with bronze, with white metal, with bamboo. For example, in the northeast, in Manipur, they made beautiful woven jewelry, hair clips and bangles and all that with bamboo. Again, it was whatever the material was locally available was repurposed into jewelry. If something had to come from a long distance, they just looked around nature and said, why don't we make this into jewelry? I mean, in South India also we have, for example, the poojade. I mean, that's jewelry. So everybody cannot afford to wear something in gold and diamonds and rubies and emeralds. So why not with flowers? So here, it's beautifully perfumed, it's beautifully made, and those poojades that everybody wears. I mean, not only for weddings, on so many occasions the young girls wear them, or even just the flowers in the hair. Instead of wearing gold and diamond flowers, you're wearing the natural flowers over here. It's also very there's a seductive quality to it, because there's this perfume of the flower, the beauty of the flower, the romance of the flower. So,
and the freshness as well.
Freshness, yes.
Beautiful. I have one personal question. This is something that bothers me every time I'm asked to go to a jewelry with my mom. My mom is so much into jewelry, I'm not so much. And what is the difference between a diamond, an American diamond, an uncut diamond, and all the other names that we hear diamonds? All the adjectives that we have with the diamond.
Well, a diamond, the real diamond, is a natural diamond. It took millions of years to form in the earth. It has absorbed all the magical properties that is within the soil. The energies of the earth are inside a natural diamond. The earliest cutting of the natural diamond, they did not know how to cut it. And they did not also believe in cutting, because actually cutting results in a lot of wastage of the rough stone. So they wanted to keep the diamond in its natural state, or just cut it around the edges to give the sparkle to the stone. Or if a diamond fractured, they had all these table cut slivers of stone. Those are all natural diamonds. An American diamond, or what is today called a synthetic diamond, or what is called a lab-grown diamond, is something that is, grown in a laboratory. It's not the real thing. Even though they say that they replicate everything in nature, can you replicate the energies in nature in a laboratory? You can't do that. So I think, nothing can beat the real one. If you can afford it, go for the real always.
Wow. Amazing. I learned something new. Now I know what to look for when I buy the diamond. Now I've always wanted to ask this question to someone and get that authentic answer. So thank you so much for educating me. That brings us to the end of the interview. I learned so much in this interview. One last question. I promise this is the last. When I step out, be it to a temple, be it to a monument where we have jewelry exhibits, what are the things that you would tell a child to look for as far as the jewelry history goes? Because usually we say, when you go to a monument, you look at this, you look at that. This is how you understand history. When it comes to jewelry history, what would your advice to children?
See, I think as far as child is concerned, it's the visual that counts first. There's no point in telling a child, this was made in 1526 and it was Babur who came to India at that time. Dates don't matter to that child. I think what you need to direct the child is a pure appreciation of what is in front of his or her eyes. You direct the child to the fact that look at the design. Can you see which flower is in this piece of jewelry? Can you see where the inspiration might have come from? What are the colors that you're seeing in that piece of jewelry? Do you think red, green, and white looks nice? If you have the opportunity, what other color would you like to see in this piece of jewelry? You can talk to them about the metal. If it is gold, you can talk about, I'm sure every child who's actually going, whether it's a girl or a boy, is already wearing a piece of jewelry. Boys are wearing arnal shanglis or a bangle. All boys are, made to wear a piece of jewelry, or sometimes their ears are pierced, they are wearing a little kadkan in their ears. You can immediately relate, why you are wearing that. Always relate the piece of jewelry they are seeing inside a museum showcase or on a sculpture or in a painting to what they are wearing themselves or what their mother or their sister or their grandmother who's accompanying them is wearing. Because then immediately they will start making those connections.
Wow, that's a very beautiful way to explain to a kid the significance. So you just sow that seed and then it grows, and that's the whole premise of what we do at Gurukul as well. We totally believe whatever we do today is just going to stay there in a child's head, and it will grow up when the child is of age and he or she wants to learn the real world. So thank you very much, Dr. Usha.
Thank you,
know today is a celebration. We are doing this interview on a Vinayaka Chaturthi day, although it is going to come out a little later. Thank you so much for joining us on this amazing day amidst all your busy schedule and giving us this piece of knowledge which we are going to cherish for a long time to come.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.